Chafing Armor Podcast, Episode 13, Big Trouble in Little Underdark. Welcome back to the Chafing Armor Podcast, the only Dungeons & Dragons podcast starring me. I'm your host and Dungeon Master, Michael Corley, and with me tonight is the irascible Izzy. Izzy, tell everyone who you are playing.
I'm playing Morezi Mugraw, the half-orc barbarian.
Wonderful. And Dare tell everyone what funny little fellow you've got with us tonight.
I'm playing Tix Birchmanson, a gnome cleric that has run away from home to seek adventure.
Wonderful. And finally, certainly not least, certainly in girth of his character more than anything, we have Lee. Lee, tell everyone who your hulking character is.
Like character, like player. My name is Lee, and I'm playing Osukai, the shifter ranger, with a soft spot for small toddlers.
As referenced in our previous adventure. In our previous adventure, our adventurers split off from one to the other. Morezi and Penton, the spell scale sorcerer, who we'll get to in a minute, went off on their own adventure, and Osokai and Tix went off on theirs. I do want to make one correction, and this is my fault, is that the adventure with Tix and Osokai versus the toddlers took place before the adventure with Morezi and Penton. It's a very minor thing, but there's an event that happens in there that needs to take place beforehand. It's a minor thing, but I am nothing if I am not a pedant. So, we open at the Inn of the Last Dragon, and we see Morezi returning from her adventure. She has bid farewell to Tovar. Tovar is the necromancer who had the strange skeletal companion named Mr. Clicks. Now with her was Penton. However, Penton has requested to go and meditate. He has been touched by a brass dragon in a fundamental way, and it has changed him, and he is going to go off into the hills to meditate. But Morezi, you walk into the Inn of the Last Dragon, and you are nearly hit by a bar stool. And I would like you to roll a dodge for me. Just roll a 20-sided dice and add your dexterity.
All right. That is a 12.
That is sufficient. You just barely move out of the way, and you are able to dodge this bar stool that comes flying at you. It smashes into the wall and crashes to the ground. But that was not thrown by an evil sorcerer or a dark paladin. It was thrown by a female dwarf. This is the female dwarf who was saved by you and your companions when they were nearly sacrificed to the demon in the pit below. You know that this woman's name is Nana, not to be confused with the grandmother. It's a special dwarf pronunciation. Her husband, Boris, was actually slightly in front of you, and you would think that she was aiming for Boris and had almost hit you. Would you like to do anything?
My character is probably going to swear loudly, maybe, and give a little bit of a what gives kind of question.
Boris turns and looks at you. Then he turns back to his wife, Nana, and says, "Oh, now look at what you've gone and done. You're gonna hit our good friend here, Muruzuruz." He doesn't really know your name very well.
Yes, Morozruz is my name.
At this time, you see two figures coming down from the upstairs where the rooms of the inn are. One of them is the diminutive Tix, the gnome cleric, who is coming down responding to the sounds. And with him in hand is actually the child of Boris and Nana. That is Pinder. Pinder is the precocious little male dwarf child who is roughly the same size as Tix. Tix, what have you been doing to entertain this child while the other two have been having a vivid discussion?
Well, I was deep in my studies, but I guess entertaining the children was something that I had to do, and now I'm having to deal with other people acting like children. And I have the same reaction as Merezi. What is going on?
Nana turns to you and goes, "This man has lost his bloody mind. He wants to take over the inn."
Do you have something better to do?
"Well, I don't mind him taking over the inn if there wasn't a bloody hellmouth at the bottom."
I think we've possibly taken care of that, and we're going to be looking into it, but you should be safe enough here at the moment.
At this moment, the front door opens again. And if there was a character that could take up more room, certainly sideways as well as upwards, it is Osokai. He is coming in from the outdoor. It is nighttime, by the way. And there's something about him. Could I get both Tix and Morezi to roll a perception check?
19. Maybe that's just because you're so close to him.
And 22.
Oh, well, Tix, you have a sort of unfair advantage because you were part of some of these things. But what I'm going to say is that, Morezi, you do love weapons, and you love sharp things and things you hit things with. You instantly notice, even though it is technically the same class of weapon, that Osokai has a new Morning Star. Where he got it from, you know not. But it is a slightly different make. In fact, it appears to be, since you rolled so high, you think it's perhaps elven in make. And Osokai, I'd like you to describe to Tix, because he's the one who notices this, what's different about your beard and what's special about your beard in particular.
So during the journey back from the village, the Wood Elf village, during one of the watches, Osokai added an extra ribbon to his beard.
Yes, you do notice that he's got a new twist into his beard. It appears that when significant things happen in his life, that he adds things to his beard, and you know that it is no small thing that he has added a new ribbon-type object into his thick, matted beard.
I don't know if the gnome actually approves of decorating beards, but whatever floats his boat.
You also notice that behind him slips in almost silently the female wood elf, Zuana, who came with you on your adventures. She comes in so quietly you hardly even notice her, and she slips to the back of the bar to make herself a drink. Boris and Nana continue their vivid discussion. The heart of it is that Boris they were traveling. They were actually coming to watch the battle that you were all in, but they were behind, and they ended up not making it to it. And then, of course, the events happened at the inn. And now with the owners of the inn dead, the owner of the inn, his wife is missing, the child, of course, unfortunately no longer alive, he's saying that there's no reason not to take over this inn and do some good in the world instead of just leaving it to rot.
Sounds like a family problem to me.
Well, as they are vividly discussing that, you all thought that the child, who through various things that you found in the inn, you have found that, by the way, the barkeep, his name was Owen, the one who turned out to be a demon. His wife, who you've never found, was named Browin, and their daughter's name was Finna. And you had assumed Finna floated above that pit at the very end of your first adventure down below, and it seemed like she had moved on, but you are now realizing that is not the case. She is manifesting in the center of the common room, and she is pointing outside.
Morezi wildly spins around trying to figure out what Finna is pointing to, and then turns around and gives her an angry look.
You don't know if she doesn't want to or if she can't, but she does not appear to be able to speak right now, though she had spoken very softly in the past. But she is pointing very urgently outside to all of you.
I tell Pinder to go back upstairs and lock herself in the room, and I go grab my gear and head outside.
Understood. And it's a minor thing, but
Morezi?
Pinner is a boy, just FYI.
Okay.
Morezi,
Morezi?
Morezi, confused and a little bit aggravated by the child's unwillingness to speak, follows, almost trampling Tix, but not quite.
Osukai has absolutely no idea what's going on here, as he was not involved in any of the previous adventures or anything to do with this. So watches as the two of them go outside, takes note of the floating being in the center of the common room, and shrugs and sits down, trying to go over in his head, trying to calm an itching feeling in his brain.
Yes, you do in fact have an itching feeling in your brain. And good role playing, by the way, that your character has no idea what's going on with this ghost child who is pointing outside. So since from y'all's description, Tix, you open the door first. By the way, literally less than 2 minutes before, Osokai and Zuwana had come in. So this is not like this has been hours or anything. This is just a few minutes later. You pull open the door and you find a goblin. A goblin is standing on the doorstep of the last Dragon Inn, and he has some kind of barrel in his hand, and he also has, or I should say at his feet, you also can see some kind of strap that almost certainly is what he was using to carry it on his back. It's a very, the barrel is nearly as large as he is. And he is taking a piece of flint and steel, and he is striking them together in front of the barrel. What would you like to do?
I pray to my god, and I am going to inflict minor wounds on him. Moderate wounds on him.
Excellent. He is paying absolutely no attention to you. He is very focused on this barrel. And so you succeed, and tell us what the damage is for minor wounds.
It is moderate wounds, 2d8 plus 1 point per level. So that is 15 points of damage.
So here's what happens.
Necrotic damage.
Necrotic damage. Here's what happens is Tix is a good fellow. What is Tix's alignment, by the way?
Neutral good.
Yes, he is a good guy. He follows a good god, and he he really tries to do the right thing. He opens the door, and by the way, in this world, things like gunpowder are fairly rare. This is not a full-on steampunk world, but there are you are very aware of explosives, and you absolutely understand what is about to happen. You reach out your hand, you pray to your god. And there's just this moment where the goblin looks up at you, and his face melts. He just screams, and it turns into a gurgle, and he falls to the ground, and his body just collapses under the ground. Now, by the way, you have cast this spell on people before, and it is necrotic damage. It's not pretty, but this was a very excessive response to that spell. And it's very gross.
That suits me. I like it.
Yeah. So you feel no remorse for what you just did, because you're pretty
None
sure.
at all.
Yeah, you're pretty sure you just stopped the inn from being destroyed, and all of you with it. And that's when you notice in the woods, you can see some other goblin figures in the woods. Morezi, by the way, you are right behind him.
I'm not really sure how to respond to this. I mean, obviously, cringing and thinking that's gross would be the normal thing, but maybe she's focusing on the goblins in the woods. Does she see that?
Yes.
Osokai, Merezi, it's time to kill some goblins.
Morezi looks at Osokai, smiles, and gets the memo. Trying to step over all the melted goblin and not melted gnome.
Yes, you get some melted goblin on your shoe. Osokai, what are you going to do?
Osuke, actually, I'm going to do something. Hang on. I'm going to roll a will save to try and get over this fear or this itching in my brain. So let's see how this one works. That's a 1.
Gotcha. So you've been feeling this, what we described in the previous adventure as a psychic scar from your encounter with the spider god. Lolth, I believe is how we were pronouncing it. And you've been feeling something get louder and louder, like a call. But it's not a nice thing to have Lolth call you. It's like having 1,000 spiders crawl just under your skin. And
It's like having 1,000 spiders call you a really mean name.
exactly. And they're saying things like 16 eyes and just, really unpleasant. And it momentarily has incapacitated you, and you literally feel the world growing dark around you as you cannot rise from the ground, even though you know that your companions may be in danger. By the way, some part of you, kind of glances up, and you see Zuana, the wood elf. She is actually having a similar response. You don't know if it's from her time with the drow children or what might be going on, but she is also having a similar response to you. So at least some part of your mind is aware that it's not just you, though you're getting it worse because you were the one who prayed to her and let her in your mind. But I need Tix and Merezi, I need you to roll for initiative.
All right.
Be good. Ooh,
19.
I got a 10.
Ha.
And Merezi, what did you get?
13.
Okay, well, the goblins are go first, probably because they were already in action. What you see is, at most you can see is 3 goblins. One of them has a similar giant barrel strapped to his back, and you can see the other, one goblin is holding a long, thick rope attached to this barrel, and the other one is striking a flint against it. And 18, you see the end of that rope come to life, or begin to burn. And that goblin begins to run at all of you, and that is all of their turn. And Merezi, it is your turn. There are 2 goblins in the woods, and there's one goblin with a giant barrel on his back with a long rope burning, and he's running at you.
Can I roll to actually no, I don't think Merezi is smart enough to try to cut the rope before the fire reaches it. So I'm just going to say that she attacks the goblin with the barrel.
All right, roll for that attack.
Oh crap. Sorry. Natural 20.
And roll for damage, please, and double it.
24.
So, you just come running forward. Now, remember, as you know, but just a reminder to the listener, Merezi's primary weapon, her true skill, is with a halberd, which is a long stick with a pointy thing on the end. So what happens is you actually just run straight at this guy and just skewer him. You literally impale him on the halberd, which is not exactly what it's meant for, but you just go right through and you actually pierce the barrel behind him, and a black powder begins to spill out into the grass below. And that little spark is still moving towards the barrel. And Tix, it is your turn.
Tix is smart enough to realize what's going on, and so I want to go cut the fuse off the barrel and make sure that we don't go boom.
Well, I know you have an axe, which is perfectly suited for this action, so I'd like you to roll to attack and tell me what your roll is.
Roll is a 1.
Oh dear. So you go up to do that, and you actually slip in the black powder that is on the ground.
Oh, this is not going to be good.
Just so you know, guys, you have about one more turn. And there's also some other circumstances that we'll have to discuss. But that brings it back to the next turn. By the way, Osokai, you will be able to act this turn, but at the very end. So, Tix, Morezi, it is your turn.
Morezi sees the fire on the fuse now that she's past the now very dead goblin, and would like to roll to strike to destroy the fuse.
Okay.
Don't think that the fuse has an armor class, but if it did, I rolled a 15.
A 15 will succeed. It cuts the end off the fuse. And now I need to roll a percentage die for a little something. Is there a percentage die here?
I don't trust this.
Ooh, yeah, you shouldn't. So you cut the rope, and it does fall to the ground. But remember that you pierced him and actually went through. Now the powder on the ground has caught fire because it fell into the powder on the ground, which, by the way, is hopping and skipping and jumping towards that big barrel. It might not reach it, but it also might. And Tix, it is your turn.
I'm going to try and pick up the barrel and throw it. Oh, is it still attached to her halberd and to the goblin?
It has. I will say that it has come detached. It's partially broken, but it's still mostly intact. It's not going to be a terribly easy throw, both because of your size and because it's kind of starting to come apart. But you can do it. You would just need to make a strength roll.
Well, instead of trying to throw it, I'm just going to try and roll it away.
That probably would be more realistic given your size.
Yeah, and I'll be calling Morezi and Osokai to come help while I'm doing it. Morezi, Osokai, get over here. I need your strength. And I rolled an 11.
Okay. Morezi and Osokai, are either of you going to help him?
All right, small guy. I'm assuming that I'm allowed to help him because he asked, even though I don't think it's my turn.
I'm going to allow a special circumstance in this case for you to aid him, and I would like you to roll a straight 20-sided die and tell me what you get.
No modifiers?
No modifiers.
Okay, I didn't really roll that. 15.
Okay, and Osokai, are you going to do anything, or do you feel like your character has been able to recover sufficiently?
I guess we'll find out, won't we? See if I can beat this thing again. That's a 2.
Unfortunately, no. Both you and Zuana are victims of the voice that is echoing within your head. So what I'm going to allow is that you do roll this barrel away from you, and it is therefore rolling towards the goblins, who realize what is happening, and the sparks are skipping and hissing and jumping towards the barrel, and it explodes. It is not right next to you, so you don't instantly die, but I need Osakai's still in the inn. I need Tix and Morezi to roll a reflex save with your reflex bonus.
Okay, 20.
That would be a 15.
Okay, both of you succeed, so you will both take 1d4 damage only. So roll that, if you will.
Sorry, 20 was not my roll. Sorry, my roll was a 16.
Okay, no, that's a success.
Okay, I got 3 points of damage.
Okay. And roll your damage, Morezi. The success is taking 1d4. If you had failed, it would have been very bad.
3.
Okay, so you both take 3 points of damage, and what happens is you are both lifted off the ground and slammed into the ground. One of the goblins was just a little bit closer, and he is picked up and slammed into a tree and is just broken. He just falls down broken. The other one is singed, very similar to y'all, and he is now getting up and trying to run. And Morezi, it is your turn.
As is in a cartoon, Morezi is now entirely black, blinks twice, and then gets up to run after this goblin.
I will allow this Looney Tune moment.
20?
What I would like you to tell me is, do you have your this is what I'm going to tell you is you are a barbarian, and as a barbarian who is not wearing plate mail, you have a much faster land speed run. So you will catch this goblin if you so desire.
I'd like to do so.
Okay, you go hauling into the woods. The goblin is fast, and goblins are very spry, and but you're a big barbarian, and you're running up, so you need to roll if you want to try to catch him.
All right. I rolled a 7.
Okay, you grab him and his tattered shirt, which stinks horribly. You suspect it might have also been used as toilet paper. Just comes away because it's in tatters. You don't want to be holding it much longer, and he's still running into the woods. Tix, are you giving chase as well?
As fast as my little legs can go.
Okay. Since she caught up with him but was unable to stop him, I will give you a chance to try and stop him now if you so desire.
All right. That is a swing with my mace, and that is a 21.
All right. Also roll for damage then.
Excellent. Or my battle axe, not mace. That is 6 points of damage.
Okay. That does not kill him, but he does stumble and fall and is now within combat range. And he is going to try to stab at you, Tix. And he gets a 16. Is that better than your armor?
No, my armor class is 18.
Ooh, fancy. Well, he just had a little small knife with him and is unable to penetrate your armor. You just sort of shrug it off.
Yay me.
And Morezi, it is your turn.
Morezi is going to definitely try to kill him with her halberd. 14-ish. 14.
Okay, going in for the kill, that is a hit. He has no armor, and he's not even wearing his stinky shirt.
Sorry, I am out of it right now. 3.
You do 3 points of damage?
Yeah.
Is that what is? Don't you have a pretty high bonus to damage?
My bonus is 3. Does rolling a 0 do something stupid?
0 is actually a 10.
Oh,
on the
then
10-sided
13.
dice, that's a 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I am tired.
It's okay.
She rolled a 13.
Gotcha.
Probably obliterated this guy.
Given both of your damage, you obliterate him. You just cut him down as he stands, and he falls to the ground dead. Hopefully y'all weren't trying to interrogate him.
Are there any more goblins scattered around?
Go
I
ahead.
Scan through the woods.
Go ahead and both of you roll a perception check for me.
16.
And I get 10.
Okay, and it makes more sense that Morezi is much more skilled in the woods as a survivalist barbarian, but you perceive no other creatures that are dangerous to you as far as you can tell.
Okay. I will go back to the inn and get the barrel that was left on the front doorstep and take it inside and hide it away in my room.
Okay, it is quite heavy, but you are up to the task. You are even though you're not some massive hulking creature like Osokai, you are still a strong adventurer, and you're able to struggle it up the stairs. You get the feeling you probably don't want to bang it too hard. You understand these things a little better than most, but the intricacies of gunpowder is not well understood in the society. It is one step away from magic as far as most people are concerned, and so you're a little cautious about it, but you understand it enough that you know you can get it up there safely.
And I'm sure Penton slept through all of this, so I can't bounce the information off of his head.
You would absolutely love to discuss this with Penton, but he has actually not returned from his meditations. Y'all do not know if anything has happened to him or not, but he told Morezi when he returned from his adventures with her that he needed to go and meditate on his experience with encountering a dragon. And since that's such an integral part to his person, he decided he needed to go and meditate upon it. And as you're coming back into the common room, you see both Osokai and Zuana stand up. and something is off. Both of them are staring blankly into the distance.
Morezi does not notice this.
After I get the black powder put away and come back down, I will begin examining both of them.
Okay.
And see if I can figure out what's going on. Osokai, Zwana, can you hear me? What's going on?
Neither of them respond to you immediately. And then both of them open their mouth simultaneously and speak simultaneously. There is a slight echo between the two, and it is very unsettling. And there is no doubt in your mind that the voice coming out of their mouth is not their own. And the voice says,
"You must finish what you started down below. They have taken my shrine. This I will not allow. Go down below, and you will find my shrine and answers to what you seek. Go below, seek the shrine."
And both of them collapse to the ground.
Where do I go?
I immediately cast protection from evil on both of them.
Osokai, it is as if a great weight is lifted upon you. However, it is not gone by any stretch of the imagination. But casting that gives you the suddenly the presence of mind that you're able to shake off this deeply unsettling feeling that has been pervading you ever since returning from your adventures and your encounter with Loth.
I was going to say it's protection from evil will deafen or will keep her voice from getting to me for a while, but she's in my head. She's not going anywhere. So yeah, Osokai is going to help Zuana up and nod at her in understanding and look to Tix. And I'm not sure Tix heard the prayer. He might have, or whatever, but I'll just in case I'll explain to Tix exactly what has been happening since that time, and we should probably do as she says.
Well, this is another fine mess you've gotten us into.
And just to clarify, you did not directly hear the prayer, but you did hear her voice when she answered the prayer in the woods. And it was actually you prayed to your god to help push it off. But since you weren't the one who prayed, you didn't get the brunt of it. There's another thing that you absolutely know without the shadow of a doubt, Osokai, and that is if you do not do this, you will die. It is simply a matter of how painful and what will happen to your afterlife if you refuse to do so.
Yes, death for the Spider Queen is only the beginning.
Yes.
I am entirely in the dark, and I think that fits everything.
So I think in the interim, before we make our plans, we should all get together and fill each other in on exactly what has been happening in our little sojourns away from each other, as it's probably relatively important that we're all up to speed for everybody's possible future interactions with our disparate adventures.
I think that's an excellent idea. You all gather together and share your stories one another as you make plans for what you are going to do. You know where to go. You know where that pit is. And Osokai, you have a sense that it will eventually lead to the Underdark. But exactly what lays below, you do not know.
The Underdark is a separate dimension in D&D, right?
No.
Yeah, I've never played D&D before. Got no idea what the Underdark is.
Think of the Underdark as, so you've got the surface world, above that you've got the gods, below that you've got the dwarves, and below that you've got Underdark.
Oh, it's like the not hell.
Yeah, hell is a different dimension. All dimensions converge in Planescape, which is a completely different setting, but same different realms, etc. But basically, Underdark is
Cavernous system.
Exactly. It's underneath the dwarves. The dwarves and the Underdark, I believe, have had some issues together, because there are also dwarves in the Underdark, elves in the Underdark, humans in the Underdark, and halflings, and basically every race of, I think, nearly every race that lives on the surface and the dwarven realms also resides in Underdark in various places. It's not nice. It's almost like a reflection, a black mirror, if you will, of the surface and dwarven worlds.
Everyone's the same, but with tiny mustaches. Got it.
Yeah, everyone has a goatee.
Exactly. So very well put, by the way. I appreciate you explaining that better than I could have. So you all make plans. You all gather together. If there's anything special that you want to bring, feel free to let me know now. Any reasonable request will be accepted.
Osukai is going to go outside for a little bit, recapture his nature. Essentially, he is a ranger. He should spend some time out in the wilds. He might do some hunting, maybe, just to try and boost up some of our food stores. Just a couple of hours before we head out.
And I want to get some small leather bags and fill them, 6 leather bags, and fill them with the black powder.
Very interesting. I will absolutely allow that. It is finely grained and it smells of sulfur. So the time has come. By the way, before you leave, the 2 Dragonborn actually return. They tell you that they have seen Penton, but when they tried to speak to him, he was in a deep meditation, and they could not. They at first they couldn't rouse him, but then when they sensed what he was meditating about, they did not want to interrupt him. They agree that they are going to stay here and guard the dwarf family and the inn and the entrance while you go in. Zuana is going to come with you.
Good.
Yeah, with her boyfriend.
Wah, wah.
I don't say that out loud. I think that Osukai could take me in a fight.
It would be a pretty even battle, to be certain. So you make your way down. As you recall, there was essentially the huge larder or pantry in the back of the inn where the cooking is done. As it moves into more the stone, remember that this inn is actually built into the side of the mountain. And there is a secret door towards the back that opens up, that leads down a staircase, which leads down to the pit. And at the pit below, you actually see the ghost. You see the ghost of the daughter, Finna, and she is gesturing to you to head down below. And then something happens. As she gestures down below, you see, obviously ghosts, they look kind of like smoke. They look ethereal, but like smoke blowing in the wind, you see her hand begin to blow away from itself, begin to dissipate. And she looks at it in confusion, and then she turns back to you, and she starts to scream. And as she screams, her body discorporates and goes down below the pit. And that's where we're going to end episode 13. Thank you all for coming in and playing with me tonight.
You're always welcome to be played with.
You're welcome.
And
You're welcome.
You're welcome. And we will talk to you all soon.